Are you tired of waiting for sparks to fly on your dating app? Do you dream of running through airports to deliver an out-of-breath, unplanned monologue? Then stop doom scrolling and start listening to Meet Cute Rom-Coms. Feel-good love stories that take you from chance encounter to grand romantic gesture in just 15 minutes. We're bringing rom-coms back. Get a brand new Meet Cute series on the first Tuesday of every month, with new episodes twice a week. Fall in love with Meet Cute Rom-Coms, wherever you find your podcasts.
Is this where we kiss?
Welcome to Girls Gone Hallmark, a Hallmark review podcast. I'm Megan, a longtime Hallmark movie fan.
I'm Wendy. I'm your former Hallmark hater.
Today we're discussing Love, of course, as part of our fan favorite fall movies series. And if you want to connect with us outside of the podcast, we'd love to have you follow us on Instagram, Girls Gone Hallmark, for all things Hallmark, and Megan and Wendy for a peek behind the curtain.
Jump into our Facebook group, Girls Gone Hallmark. We got lots of talk about Countdown to Christmas over there.
And today we are thrilled to be joined by co-host Eric from the Hallmark Mysteries and More podcast. Thank you for joining us, Eric.
Glad to be here.
So tell us a little bit about how you became a Hallmark movie watcher.
How I became a Hallmark movie. So the story all goes back to way back when in my young childhood. But back in, I don't know, around 2018 or something like that, about 5 years ago now, I was just cruising the channels and stumbled upon Summer Villa. And if anyone's seen Summer Villa, they know why I instantly became hooked. To this day, I think it is the best Hallmark movie. But so I've always been a rom-com fan, so I started watching it. I didn't even know Hallmark really channel existed, and I assumed if it did, it was for like grandmas and everything like that. And I guess maybe I associate more as a grandma or something. I don't know. But so I watched Summer Villa, really got into it, and then I slowly found myself on weekends just start watching more and more of them, and just enjoy it. It's the fun escapism. I think I do okay knowing like I don't take them too serious. And you guys have your podcast, so I'm sure you get the DMs where people will hit you up with like all these like minutia things that couldn't happen in the real world. And I just happily go off to Hallmark universe.
Wendy has often said that she thinks Hallmark Movies and Mysteries puts out better movies than the Hallmark Channel. Agree or disagree?
Well, they're just, it depends on what you mean by better. They have more depth, I think.
Yes.
Like the mysteries, one of the things that's different about the mystery is it usually has multiple episodes, so you can develop characters and you don't have to resolve everything in 123 minutes. Whereas, and then the dramas also just tend to be a little more, like I say, movies with more depth. They don't have to end with a conflict/romance 30 seconds later. But like, I don't know, I like Hallmark movies. I like the romance. I like the cheese. I like all of that stuff too. So it's just a little different. I can't say better, can't say worse.
So Countdown to Christmas is coming. If you had to pick one movie that you're super excited about.
So you're going to make me like pick
Sophie's
the actual
choice.
title? I don't know.
Well, it's okay.
Well, I will say it's the one with Catherine Bell and James Denton.
Oh,
just
yes.
because I'm excited for the Good Witch reunion. I love them together.
Yes.
But I'll say just overall, there's only two that I have issue with.
Tell us.
And I know you guys have like there's some that you said you want to see, some you don't want to see. There's none that I looked at and just said, oh, I don't want to see you. But I just really like So Many Fresh Faces. And I don't know if it has to do with the strike and all these like young Canadians are hopping in on or whatever, but
I feel like they might also
faces.
be acquisitions too, like movies that Hallmark picked up just in case they needed to round out their slate. So they weren't necessarily produced with Hallmark in mind.
we'll see by the quality, because acquisitions, we can talk about that other one we don't talk about, and their acquisitions are terrible. So
Yes, I agree. Well, I'm excited for that Catherine Bell James Denton movie as well. That's a great cast all the way around. In terms of Countdown to Christmas, what can people expect from the Hallmark Mysteries and More podcast? What are you guys planning to cover?
We just dropped our preview because for us, Christmas starts today because there's 4 weeks in a row of mysteries. Mm-hmm. So for us, this is the big highlight. And then it kind of goes off and we're in rom-com world. But there is Victor Webster, who, very big fan of Victor Webster.
Me too.
And he's in the mystery of Mistletoe Lane. So I'm curious if it's an actual mystery or if it's like Santa's Stakeout.
Yeah. I liked Santa Stakeout.
Yeah, I know you did. And
Paul Campbell can do no wrong. What can I say?
It was good.
But it wasn't a mystery. It wasn't a mystery. I agree.
Yeah, and I just never thought they had romantic chemistry. I thought it was a fun movie. I just never got the chemistry in that one.
I don't disagree with that.
I don't disagree with that either. I just thought it was fun.
Yeah,
it was fun.
I'll give that.
Are you ready to hear a synopsis of Love, of Course, before we jump into our discussion?
Yeah,
course.
You want me to go? Ready?
I do.
Amy is helping her daughter settle into college and lands a job to help with the annual Fall Harvest Festival. When Amy meets Noah, a charismatic, well-traveled professor, she learns more about herself and discovers a new life of her own.
Let's hear first impressions, and we're going to go ahead and start with you, Eric.
My first impression is my wife works for higher ed, and there's no way somebody could get hired within like one conversation. To hire someone takes about 7.5 years, and talking to like 17 layers of people. No, the reality of it though is this movie is absolutely adorable. I loved it when it first happened, and I was really excited when I saw your list. I wanted to do Pumpkin Pie Wars because I like that one, and I should have been on there so I could have fought with you because it is a good movie.
Eric is Team Wendy.
Yes, and but this movie is just adorable, and I was so glad that I watched it again because it just reminded me that it's really, really cute. And one of the biggest crimes out there is that Kelly Rutherford is only in one Hallmark movie because she killed it.
Well, that's my first impression, if I may.
Go ahead.
Bring Kelly Rutherford back to Hallmark because I was shocked in scrolling her IMDb. She's perfect in this role on this channel.
Why only one movie from her?
Why?
I don't know.
Let's start a campaign.
Yeah, justice for Kelly.
Yeah.
Hey, what's your first impression?
My first impression is you had me at Marco.
Oh.
How cute was the Marco Polo scene in both?
That was pretty cute.
At the end, when she's looking for him, Marco, oh my God, I loved it.
Wait, you don't do that with your husband?
Never.
When you're out at the ballet?
Oh my God, how he would be so embarrassed. Could you imagine? My husband who'd be like, what the hell are you
My
talking
husband
about?
thinks it's hilarious to just like wander off. Like we'll be out someplace and he just like wanders. And I'll realize that his phone's in my purse. Like I'll go to call him and my purse rings. That's like classic my husband. Anyway, so yeah, he would not play Marco Polo with me in a Home Depot. All right, well, let's talk what we liked about this movie. Eric, we're going to give you the floor to begin.
Okay, so as I said, Kelly Rutherford, well, first of all, the writing and the directing were just fantastic. And to get ready for this, I talked to both Lee Freelander, the director, and Tracy Andreen to get a little bit of their thoughts and their takes.
Wait,
Just
stop.
casually drop that
Stop.
in.
Right there.
Are you like dropping into their DMs?
You contacted them?
Yeah, you don't chat with people? Well, you guys are snarkier than I am. I'm nice.
No. People like us. Let's be clear.
Other than Candace Cameron Bure,
people like us.
I'm nice to everybody.
People drop into our DMs, but I don't think we've ever just like directly reached out.
Do you reach out like via DM? Are you emailing them? Is this a phone call? Explain the process to me.
No, it's mostly like DMs, but we chit chat and sort of. And then when the movie was coming up, I'm like, hey, I'm reviewing your movie. What do you got for me? Like Tracy, because I interviewed Tracy way back when. She's awesome.
Uh-huh.
And then when I was talking to her, she was like, hey, talk to Lee. And so I talked to Lee.
You're so well connected, Eric.
Well, that's one of the other great things about Hallmark is the people associated with Hallmark are so willing to engage with fans. Whereas, like, I think if I were to, say, hey, Tom Cruise, tell me about Mission Impossible, and like you're like hanging there, I have a feeling he wouldn't be like getting back or
He's going to leave you on red.
whatever.
Yeah.
I probably am ruining it because they're going to get blown up by everyone listening to your podcast, start trying to chat.
They're going to get blown up by us. What are you talking about?
So one of the things that Tracy said too that was really interesting was this was her only movie that Hallmark didn't touch. Like they what they wrote and what Lee produced just went boom. They didn't have to, because the other person who we don't like to talk about, the previous regime head, was a control freak and would do a lot of things. But yeah, the movie was just great, and I have to agree. And I think Kelly, I'm not the hugest Cameron Mathison fan always, but this favorite role of his, I thought the chemistry between the two of them was just off the charts. I also, for me personally, I realized watching this couldn't have been better timing. So I'm a little bit older than you, with my kids a little bit older than you. I've went through both of them going off to school and all of that. But what just happened, over Labor Day, my daughter moved to Boston to go start her career over there. And so I had to, move her. Well, I didn't. She drove across country, and then my wife and I flew out and met her there because we're too old to be driving across the country for things like that. But then we got there and, took them to IKEA and all the places to buy all their furniture and everything. But I totally was relating to Kelly because my wife was just dying, wanting to get her apartment all set up. And my daughter's pace was a little bit different. She'd like build one thing like, okay, I need to take a break. And so we left and things were still unpacked. But I really, like I say, watching this again, I just connected to it personally and emotionally. So that was awesome. The other thing I really liked, and I'll go back to Kelly, was she had a character that could so quickly and easily be unlikable, but she would always like take it right to that line and stopped. And she gave like the best looks that just sort of be like over to Cameron when he would say something, it would just be that like, okay, I'm kind of digging you, or okay, you're wrong and you really need to do this, corn maze and thing. But just like she was able to just do that non-verbal acting. I thought that was just fantastic in this movie.
I always love a second chance romance story, and I loved that. Kelly Cameron pairing was amazing. I agree. Cameron Mathison isn't like my number one always, but I think he was fantastic in this role. He kind of sometimes gets relegated to like the dad roles as opposed to like leading man role. I loved when Kelly said, why would an agriculture professor refuse to put roots down? I just loved that writing moment. And I love a fall movie that feels like fall, like a fall festival with a corn maze. Yes, please, all of it. It was such a joyful experience to watch it.
I agree with you 100%. I thought this was such a nice fall movie. It was aesthetically pleasing to look at. And we had a little bit of like fall weather here, I would say, yesterday. So like
it's like 72 degrees.
Yeah, I was about to say Southern California fall weather.
Yeah.
I was hyped. I was like, I'm all in. I'm decorating this weekend.
Yeah.
Like it's happening. I thought Cameron and Kelly had fire chemistry. And I had read some of the IMDb reviews, which we all know that they're always not very good. But some of the reviews said, like, these two have no chemistry. And I was like, are you kidding me? Like, the dance floor scene? First of all, a guy who gets out on the dance floor and does country line dancing, like, I'm all
sold.
in.
Yep.
Totally sold.
I got a story for you.
Tell us.
So that's one of the things that Lee told me. Like they all went and they did line dancing lessons.
Oh, fun.
But Cameron was already like very good at it.
I believe that.
So I love that scene because it felt so much like a real date.
It did, absolutely. And then as that song ends and the slow song starts, like there was just passion between these two.
Yeah.
And then not only that scene, we're followed by the porch scene right after where he wants to go in and kiss her and she's got reservations because, you know, she's dealing with a lot of baggage. But like, oh, so good.
I agree.
So
Cosign.
good. I want to talk about Cameron Mathison for a second. Now, I know you said that he's not your favorite. I know he's not your favorite. As a Hallmark newcomer like myself, I haven't seen him in a lot of stuff. I thought he left for the other channel. I don't really know the backstory there. Are you guys familiar?
He's the only one I know of who's had a decent presence over there who's come back.
Who's come back? He's not doing both, is he? Do we know?
Yeah.
He
But
is
I
doing
think he's
both?
only doing, is he doing anything other than Hannah Swenson?
I haven't seen him. He's not in anything Countdown to Christmas.
No, you're right. He's not. I don't know. I have to put those like personal feelings aside. I think he's a really good actor. And I think all his years on soaps have like really enabled him to emote with his face, have a natural reaction to like what his co-star is saying to him. He's just not reading the lines.
Yeah, I think there's something to be said. He has over 1,300 episodes of soap operas between All My Children and General Hospital. And I think there's a lot to be said for all of the screen time that has given him and all of the opportunity to play opposite other actors.
I think he's good. I'd like to see him in more things on our channel.
And by the way, when I say he's not my favorite, I don't dislike him by any means.
Yeah, no,
He's
I
just sort of
understand.
one of the, I wouldn't go to my way to see him, but I don't avoid him either.
And he's great as, you know, in the Hannah Swenson / Murder, She Baked.
I thought that, I've only seen the most recent one. I thought that was a good movie.
Yeah.
I thought that was a good movie. Like Eric, I found Amy's storyline super relatable. Meg and I both have kids who are in high school, and we're coming up on that kind of midlife, like,
Empty nest.
Empty nest. What am I going to do with my life? So it's nice to see Hallmark kind of share those narratives. It felt like it was for me.
Yes. I know. Well, your comment about wanting to set up her room when her daughter's like, no, I'll do it later. I thought, but you're not going to do it as well as I could help you with.
Exactly.
Like, it's not going to be as good as if mom helps. That I would have had a very hard time walking away in that moment. I would have been the mom who came back and did it for her.
Oh, me too. 100%. I'd have been like, go ahead and go. I'll stay here and do everything. Two more things. I loved how the fall festival was at the end of the movie. Like, we were looking forward to it, and I thought they did that really well. You know, sometimes we get like a festival, it's like mid-movie, and then we get like miscommunications or whatever afterwards. I found myself like very excited to see what this festival was going to look like. Maybe that's just like the PTA mom in me. Like I just felt very connected to what Amy was doing and what her job was. And finally, there was great music throughout this entire movie. Did anybody notice
I didn't clock it at all.
Really?
Totally.
I'm not surprised you didn't clock it. It was really good. Really, really good.
All right, let's talk what we wished for. You're up, Eric.
Okay, so the initial, I don't know if it's a meet cute or not, but when Noah is driving or doing his wheelbarrow across the street and he gets annoyed at her for almost running him down, I'm like, the dude just jaywalked with a wheelbarrow in front of her, so she was totally in the right to roll down. So it's funny, I remember flashing back to think like, oh, this movie is just going to be horrible. So it sort of initially set up this bad thing, of which obviously everything got corrected. I didn't have a lot I didn't, really love about it. The one thing though that I found funny was the corn maze scene. Was when they were he was mowing it and they see all the corn flying, and then they show the overhead and it's perfectly cleaned out and like complete, and it's massive and it's been manicured. So I once again, as I said, I go to Hallmark Universe and it doesn't really bug me per se, but I got a chuckle out of how it was just perfectly clean and going through that.
Yeah, like a crop circle.
And then the other is, and I thought the conflict they handled it well, but it seems where Amy was being like, well, I promised my daughter I would leave. It seems like that was one of the ones which such an easy conversation to have, whether or not you need to go or not before you're making these big decisions. You could just talk to your daughter.
Right.
So I thought that one was one that could have been, which she ended up doing and having that conversation. But I just thought it was, it could have been for her, like him going to Australia was really good, but she could have just resolved that a little bit, I think, quicker, easier.
Yeah, I thought the story was pretty predictable. Like, we knew what was going to happen. They were going to be together at the end. But I appreciated that they didn't throw in any huge miscommunications. Like, there was a lot of, like, what's the word I'm looking for? Like, side talk happening that could have led to a misunderstanding between our two leads. Because, like, the daughter was involved and he had the friends and the mutual friends and whatever, right?
Yeah, it's not manufactured conflict. Like, you can see the conflict building the entire time. It makes sense.
Right. But I agree with Eric. Like, those were simple conversations that could have happened. And for a second, I thought, why doesn't she just go to Australia with this guy? Like,
yeah, what does she have holding her back
here?
Going
on? She could go with him. Like, anyway. So for me, that is the only wish that I had, is that they could have maybe made it a little bit more difficult, but I appreciated that they didn't.
Well, I feel like her not leaving for Australia is a throwback to earlier, that line that I love, like, why haven't you put down roots? And he says he hasn't had any reason to, and now he has a reason to, as opposed to him being like, still not putting down roots, you come with me, like, grab your bags. To Eric's point, in the beginning of the movie, I also had like a little moment where Amy and Noah, it's like the second time they're crossing paths, and she drops a bag full of things and he's helping her pick it up. And he's like, I've seen this a lot of times. Parents who can't let go. And look, every single parent dropping their kid off at college is having a moment of like push and pull and giving them the freedom, but you're going to miss them and I'm losing control over their life. I just felt like, give her a little bit of grace, man.
Yeah, like, don't.
But they recover from that very quickly. He doesn't lean into that, like, you're over the top mom role. Mm-hmm. Am I the only person who was very strongly team no corn maze? Now hear me out. I loved the corn maze. I loved the idea of a corn maze, even though if someone I knew was lost in the corn maze, they'd be lost there forever because I would never find my way to them. However, he's pushing back. He's like, we got to harvest the corn early. And she's like, it's fine, just do it. When they mow that corn down, is that how you harvest corn, by completely mowing the stalk down? Because that seems like a lot of crop they're losing for the next year. I don't know how you harvest corn.
I don't either.
Do you know how you harvest corn, Eric?
Not that way. Yeah, you have the reaper, or whatever that thing's called.
And then that stalk is going to regrow the next year, yes?
But no, I think they replant.
Okay.
The corn doesn't grow again. But it doesn't, well, I don't know, maybe someone came through in the wheelbarrow and collected all of it.
I just thought, it's not such an easy thing to just mow through all this. Like, they're losing a lot of crop space for next year, but maybe it doesn't matter.
They did an aerial shot of it. I was like, that's huge. That's like acres and acres and acres. Like, why couldn't they just taken a little corner of it and made like a cute little maze?
Yeah.
Like, don't use your whole crop full of it.
Or build one out of hay bales.
That's what I thought too when he had all that hay. I was like, just do that.
Yeah.
But she did address that because she was like, corn maze brings the people, and if we don't bring the people, then we don't have a festival next year, so sacrifice your corn now.
Yeah.
I thought she had a fair point too.
I do too, but I was like...
And then he came around, bring her a little chicken soup and corn maze.
Oh my gosh, we need to talk about the chicken soup.
Go ahead.
Let's hop to Did You See That?
Okay.
But I'll hold off. I'm going to let our guests go first and Did You See That moment.
Okay, well, I'm going to do the Did You See That with, by doing, once again, a little name dropping.
Oh, please.
That the Marco Polo was Tracy Andreen's favorite thing that she's written, that scene. So, and I know we said we all liked it as well. And the corn maze, when I was asking Lee about what was funny, she said that filming that, because they didn't fit on there and they couldn't really drive the thing, that she said it was just like out of control laughing, and everyone was like, that whole scene was just really hodgepodge together, which I was, knowing that going into it, I was looking for it to see him like veering off. He looked like he was handling it pretty well. But she said that, yeah, that was absolutely hilarious filming that scene. So I like I said, I really liked that. And then, yeah, so I'll let you talk about the chicken soup, because I'm not sure how I feel about the chicken soup.
Well, that chicken soup was water. Like when he takes the lid off, it's like water, and there's
it's his mom's recipe. Don't bug on his mom.
I was like, Noah, no.
I
Like,
didn't even notice.
Even like a Campbell's soup would have looked better than that. I don't know. I just was like, again, it's the Hallmark universe. You got to let it go. But I just thought, like, don't take the lid off in that moment if the soup's not going to bring it visually. That was my thought about the
I will
chicken
tell
soup.
you, while I was watching that scene, I hopped on Pinterest to look for a homemade chicken soup recipe.
Oh, well, it is delicious. I also thought she leaned a little too hard on, like, I have a cold. I can't get off the couch. I'm like, lady, you are a mom. Power through. Like, I've not taken a day off for a cold in
She had
16 years. Maybe she has.
Well, she also did not look very sick.
No. No. For me, the corn maze was the biggest did you see that for me. Like you said, it was, those lanes were all cleaned up. There was no debris. But there is one point where he goes to start it, and he's looking at a map, and then he just, like, goes in. And I was like, don't you guys have to, like, spray paint this out or something? Like,
He's got photographic memory to know how to do it.
willy-nilly, like, in there and goes
My
for
corn
it.
maze never would have connected. They would be like, we can't get out because there's only one way in. You're lost forever. It's the Harry Potter corn maze.
And then he puts the signs up where it's like the questions of like what state has the most family farms? I'm like, hell, I don't know. I'm like, I would be lost in this thing forever. I don't know the answer to these questions.
Marco, yeah.
What else did you have? I know you had like a big list.
Well, look, the apples are not that shiny off the tree. They're not. They become shiny through whatever process they go through sending them to the grocery store. They've got that big pile of apples they picked. They're not shiny.
And the worst apples, they had Red Delicious. Those are like the worst apples to eat.
Lots of apples are red that aren't Red Delicious.
Okay, fine.
But anyway, she goes through and they're picking apples, and she just like yoinks one off the tree and pulls an entire branch off. And then the next moment she's like doing it correctly, but they never discuss like
How to do it?
You gently twist an apple.
Eric, have you ever been apple picking?
When I was a kid.
I've never. I would not.
I'm from Michigan, so we have like all of that. It doesn't get cold enough out here to have apple trees. You got to be north.
Right.
Yeah, we have apple farms. We go every year, almost every year, but we pretend like it's fall. It's 85 degrees.
So listen, I'm having a huge like deja vu right now. My grandma lived in Michigan, grew up in Michigan, and she always talked about Johnny Appleseed. Is that some sort of like folklore for Michigan?
Well, no, it's like Americana.
Yeah.
folklore.
I don't know.
He went across the whole country and planted his seeds across the entire country, and that's why we have apples.
She told me it was only in Michigan.
She retconned Johnny Appleseed.
Yeah, totally.
My last did you see that is they apparently make a 16-hour drive in like 4 hours because they leave from LA, they arrive in the same clothes on the same day. They've only had a muffin for a snack from LA to Oregon, wherever Oregon College is, even if it's Southern Oregon. That's like a 16-hour drive from LA.
Yeah, I was wondering too. Her brother never sent her clothes. She only had like enough clothes for like 2 days.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. That was in my notes.
I'm like, what the heck? Where'd she get all that extra clothing from? And beautiful clothing. Cashmere sweaters, beautiful coats.
And her big, beautiful office that this temporary employee at the university has been given with these wood panel walls and big enough room to have a giant conference table.
Yeah, when they showed that, I thought, why wouldn't she be working out of her home?
Yeah, exactly. That was weird. Yeah, this contract employee.
Yeah.
Do you have anything else, Eric, in that? Did you see that category?
Well, okay, so I was going to say with the soup, I couldn't figure out, was he like tucking her into bed? Or was she just on the couch?
She was on the couch, but it was kind of creepy how like he put the blanket like up to her neck. Put the blanket
it seemed a little like, I know they were at this point like, hey, I dig you, you dig me kind of stuff, but it did seem pretty intimate.
I think so too. And their faces were so close. I'm like, a woman who is that sick, He should not put his face that close to her.
She's cute. I would risk a cold for a little
she is
Kelly
cute.
Rutherford action.
She's cute.
There's a scene in You've Got Mail, which I reference a lot on this podcast, where Meg Ryan's character is sick and Tom Hanks comes over and I heard you were sick, and he brings her flowers and makes her tea with honey, and it's a very sweet scene, very intimate too. And they are still kind of like clashing at that point in the movie. I don't know if you're a You've Got Mail fan, Eric, but this scene was reminiscent of that for me.
Is that that's in 90s, right?
Yeah.
90s? Yeah.
I mean, AOL is the star of that movie with the dial-up tone. So
I was just having that conversation at work the other day about
Oh
back when you used to have that little noise and it would just send those endorphins running through your body and you get all
God,
excited.
You've got mail.
Totally. Plug the phone, the house phone, and connect my computer to it.
Yep.
It was awesome.
The day we got that AOL CD in the mail was the best day of my life. All right. Let's rate this movie, and then we're going to move on to a special segment. Eric, out of 5 stars, what do you give Love, of Course?
4.5.
Oh, nice.
I gave it 4 stars.
3.75.
Why so low?
That's not a low rating.
To me, it seems low.
I don't think it's low.
You knocked it down because I had water chicken soup.
That's right.
Really, other than that, there's really nothing wrong with this
There's
movie.
nothing really wrong with this movie. I agree. It was a great, and I'll be honest, a 3.75 is not a bad rating for me.
It feels bad.
Okay.
It does feel bad.
Well, I don't mean it that way. We are going to play a game called Gone Hallmark, where we have a series of rapid fire questions to throw at you. Just answer the first thing that comes to mind. Are you ready?
I don't know.
You can do it.
You may need filter button.
Hey, we have an explicit rating, so say whatever
I know.
you want. First up, Bad Boy or Boy Next Door?
Like me?
In a Hallmark movie.
Wait.
Tell us, Eric.
I'm trying to figure out. Are you asking like myself, or what do I like as far as the actor to be?
I mean, choose your own adventure here. But the spirit with which it was intended was in a Hallmark movie is the ending of that sentence.
Well, I'd have to. I'm definitely this terrible bad boy. So
Your team Boy Next Door?
No, he's Team
no,
Bad Boy.
I'm a bad boy.
Oh, you
come on.
are an actual bad boy.
No, he likes bad boys.
Both.
Okay. All right.
Well, I feel bad or a little awkward saying I like bad boys, but
Sorry. In Hallmark movies.
I'm not judgmental, and I love everybody. So
All right. If you have to pick one, do you pick The Way Home or Ride?
considering I never saw Ride, I'd have to go with The Way Home.
It's the right choice.
It is the right choice.
In a Hallmark movie, do you prefer a fake dating trope or an enemies to lovers trope?
Oh, I'd have to go with the fake, only because the frenemies, sometimes they're just too harsh, and I'm like, that person would never like that person after that introduction.
Agree.
Whoa.
All right. Another Wedding Veil trilogy, yay or nay?
I'm done. I liked it, but I just don't know where it goes, unless they go into the guys.
Oh, hey.
Hey, do you want to see digital snow or do you want to see faux leaves?
Okay, so you guys talk about this stuff all the time. My eyes are bad, so I never can tell what's real, what's not. Other than Haul Out the Holly when they had the snowmen that was like, looked like styrofoam
Yes.
balls. But other than that, I never know when it's like fake or like CGI pumpkins or anything like that.
Well, the digital snow to me is obvious because it never lands on their clothing. So it's like,
always, like, just
snow
in front of
following
Yeah,
and they're like,
I just
pristine.
don't notice
No, you don't
those
notice?
things. I'll go with the leaves because I think the fall movies are fun.
This one might be hard for you to answer. Hannah Swenson or Curious Caterer?
Oh, easy, Curious Cater.
Oh. All right, next one.
The right
fan-
answer, by the way, was Gourmet Detective.
The fans are going to come for you on this one. Mystery 101, Gone Too Soon or It Was Time?
Well, so one of the things being a Hallmark mystery podcast is we get them coming for us all the time. You can never like Mystery 101 too much. In fact, I do feel like I'm kind of name dropping, but we are talking to Jonathan Christian Plummer tomorrow.
Oh, again.
Yeah, so because he did Mystery Island. He's the writer for Mystery Island. I think it ended too soon, but I'm not losing sleep over it ending.
Cute kids or cute dogs in a Hallmark movie?
Oh, kids are the worst, so definitely dogs.
I was worried what direction you were going with that.
Thank you.
Do you want a Christmas tree lighting or do you want cookie decorating in your Hallmark movies?
Cookies.
All right. This is a tough one. The final
By the
question.
way,
Yes.
I want more Hanukkah movies.
Oh, yes.
Agree.
I don't think there is one.
Yes, there is.
I didn't.
There is one.
Oh, I wasn't paying attention during our entire episode.
Yes, there is one.
This is a tough one, and it's the final question. Name a supporting actor or actress who deserves a lead role in a Hallmark movie.
Oh, I've got like a huge long list of this.
Let's hear.
Well, okay, so there's JC Dotton who's Marla on Curious Cater. Love her. She's fantastic. She cracks me up. Mathison Smith, he is been a supporting in a ton of things. He's awesome. Maddie, whatever his Fraternio.
Pinocchio.
He is absolutely fantastic. That list is so many. But I'm gonna go with JC just because she's adorable. I'm a guy, so I've got a very high fondness for her.
You know, I'm wondering, did anybody clock the actress who plays roommate Maddie Seaton?
I didn't realize it was who it was until you told me.
Oh yeah, Gabby
Douglas, as in the Fierce Five?
Yeah.
I guess that would be or did you see it type comment,
Yes. When she looked familiar to me, and then as I'm looking at the IMDb, I was like, that Gabby Douglas? And yes, that Gabby Douglas.
Does she
I think it was the beginning and the end of her acting career.
She has a couple voice roles. She was in the Gabby Douglas story, but yeah, she did not have a long acting career.
So who's I'll throw that back at you. What supporting do you want?
I mean, we have an ongoing Justice for campaign, but our number one is always Maddie Finocchio.
Yeah.
It's got to be Maddie, and then
we're there.
But
Guiding Emily, loved his character
he
in
was
that.
fantastic.
So good in that.
Yeah. Poor Maddie's going to think that we're stalking him because we bring it up so much, but we're Team Maddie.
We are.
Hey, Eric, tell people where they can find you outside of this podcast.
Well, I'm kind of a little all over the place, but if you're interested in mysteries, that's Hallmark Mysteries and More, which we have our podcast by the same name, as well as Instagram, pretty active there. And then when I throw my rom-com hat on, I'm Hallmark Movie Reviewer over there on Instagram. Sometimes I do some YouTube stuff, not very often over there.
Yeah, so hop on over and find Eric in all of those places. Thank you so much for joining us on this episode. We appreciate you taking the time to watch this movie and meet up with us. Thank you for listening to this episode of Girls Gone Hallmark. We'll see you next time. Bye.
Bye.